So now what we need to do is do the sign up, because we need to be able to have users. That way we can manipulate things as a user. So let's go ahead and click sign up at the end there, so we can go to the sign up page. Okay, so here what we want to be able to do is post our data to the other side, of course. So let me come back here for a second, and what I want to do is go to the sign up controller here, and again my let me reopen this, my Sublime text. Okay, so the sign up controller, which is right here, and this is where we are supposed to receive our post data. So just around here, what I want to do is just print the result of my post variable. So I'm just going to do that. Okay, and I want to echo some pre-tags right here as well, so I can see things a little bit better. So I'm just going to say add user here, and clearly this isn't working. So let's go to the sign up view itself, and let's see why that might be. Now the reason this is not submitting or anything like that is because there's no form here. So we must have a form. So let's just add a form in here, and then I'm going to say method post like that. So let me move this, let me remove that, and also put it down here like so. Okay, so now that we have that, it should work. But console here could also submit. So let's change this button, the second one. Let's put type and say is equal to button like so. Once we do that, it's no longer a submit button. Okay, and okay, for now we won't have any use for the cancel button, because we just want to add the very first user, which is going to be the admin. So the reason I'm adding it from here is so we can even encrypt the password, etc, etc. So refresh this, and there we go, we have that array over here. Oh, so the pre-tags have disturbed our view here, I guess. So let me just click add user one more time, and this is what I get. So I just wanted to see this content here. So we do have first name, last name, email, password true, but there are a few things missing. The gender and the rank here are missing. So let's make sure we have a name for each one of these. So I'm just going to add name here and say rank, and then I will add a name here as well, say gender. So gender, small letter G there. So gender and rank. So refresh the page, and then add user. Okay, so at least we get this. How about rank? Why is rank empty? Let's see here. Okay, so rank has an empty value here, which we must do here as well. So let me select these guys and put a value there, so that at least there's an empty value on this one, and then I'll put male, and then I'm going to put female on this one right here. Okay, so that way at least we're going to get, let me refresh the page again, and then if I click add user here, at least I get a clean slate from all this. Okay, so this is all good. So I'm just going to copy these for future reference, and I'm going back to the sign up, remove the pre-tag here like so. That way I can refresh my page and have that back. Then what we will do now is we want to use the user class in here. So what we'll do is we're just going to check if there's a post method here. So we're going to use the server, or what we can just say is count. This is much easier. So count post. If that is greater than 0, then something was posted. Oops. Okay, something like this. All right, so if something was posted, then let's evoke our user class. So I'm going to say user is equal to new user, like so. Now, what we want to be able to do here is to validate this information. So what I want is to put an if statement and just say if, and then I say user, something like this, and then I'll say validate, like so, user validate, and then I will put my post data in there, like so. So if this returns true, then it means we are good to go. If there's an else statement here, like so, it should mean errors. Okay, so errors here. And then how do I get those errors? I'm going to have to do this and say errors is equal to, and say user errors, like this. So this is going to contain the errors, will be there. Okay. And then now I need to be able to send those errors to the view here. So here I will put an array like so and say errors, which is going to point to a variable called errors. Now, it's very possible that it won't go through this, but it will still come back here, and I will not have this variable right there. So I need to have this variable ready to go regardless. So I'll just say errors is equal to an empty array, like this. Oops. Array, like that. Okay. So we start off assigning errors to an empty value, and then we'll put it here. Now we're going to add several things in this array, so I'm just going to do this instead and put a comma there. Okay, that way we can add more items to this array here. For now we just have errors, so errors will be updated if this returns false. But if it returns true here, we're going to need to redirect our user. Okay, so in our case, instead of just redirecting, I want us to be able to do this and say redirect, like that, and then put what we are redirecting to. So in our case, I want us to redirect to the login page, like so. Okay, so none of this stuff is going to work at all because it does not exist. So we must create each and every aspect of this. So to start with, let me deal with this redirect. So this one, because we're using this, it means we're referencing the current controller, right? But then, because every controller will be using this redirect, it's better to add it to the main controller. That way, every one of these inherit that method. So to do that, we're going to go to controller.php and create a public function. So I'm just going to say, actually, none of these functions need to be public at all because everything happens in the controller. So we might as well write protected here and it's still going to work just fine. But let's leave it at public for now. So we'll say public function, and I'll call this one redirect, like so. And then I'll have a link to redirect to, like so. And so here I know that what I will need to do is add the header function and put location, like so, location. And then I want to add whatever the link is on that particular part. But I need to also be able to add root, like so. Wait a second, let me confirm this because I have actually forgotten. Where is the core? Where is the config? Okay, so root is indeed the right thing. So root, and then to add to root, we're going to add whatever the link that has been sent. So root and let's put that slash as well because it may not be there. And if there's a slash there, we must trim it. So let me just do trim here. Just in case we forget a slash there, I'm just going to do that and put that slash there on both sides so that we don't have a duplicate slash here if in case somebody added it. Then let's die here, and that's about it. So link, yeah, location. Okay, that's good. So the reason we're doing it here is because we can later adjust how we are redirecting the user, etc., rather than adding the redirect code directly here, because then it means wherever we had put that code, we must go in and change it. But like this, wherever the redirect is used, we can just go and change this. Okay, so at least one of these is working, but what about these errors? So this one is in the user class. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the user class for errors, but you see that this will be a very what's the word, a very common thing we're using. Errors are going to be required everywhere, so that's why we're going to go to the model as well and just say public or protected. Regardless, it will work still. So protected, actually let's use public in this case. So public errors is equal to an empty array, like so. Okay, so at least we have errors ready to load. That's good, that's good. Let me just be explicit here and say public as well. Okay, great. So we've added that. So this is viable now as well. So the only thing remaining is the validate. That doesn't work. Okay, so this will go inside our user model because this particular validation is only useful for the user model, because we're going to validate this table different from another table. So this will have to go in the user, and I'm just going to say public function validate, like so. Now there are several ways we can do this validation. We can put the same way we did with the table. We put a universal thing here, but I think that will lengthen the tutorial because there's a lot of code to be typed just to make it work. So I'm just going to leave it with this. So we'll just have a different validation for each user, for each model, I mean. So this will be the data. So I'm just going to say data there, and then we're going to do our validation and return true or false. So here I'm just going to return false, like so, for now. Okay, so back here, this will return true or false. In our case, it will return false, so we won't need to go here. We'll just come down here to check the errors, and if there are any errors, we'll bring them down here. So at this point, if I come back here and try to send add user, I won't see any difference at all, but the important thing is that I see no errors here, so which means everything is working fine. So the only thing now we need to do is, since we've supplied our post data here, and we just need to go to the validate here and make sure we do a proper validation. Now the first thing we will do here, obviously say this errors is equal to an empty array, because since this errors value is inside the main model here, it may carry over information from other sections, so, or from a previous time. I don't know if that's going to be even a thing, who knows. But just to be sure that we are starting anew, we're going to do that, but probably not necessary. However, once we do this, now all we need to do is add several if statements to see what we want to check for. And then if we don't find it, for example, we're going to say if password In this case, we're going to say data, and then we'll say password, for example. And then we say is not equal to, and then we check the password 2. If these two are not equal, like this, so password 2, and then all we need to do is say this errors. Okay, then we add to the errors and just say the passwords do not match, like this. Okay, so this is one error added to this list of errors, which is saved in here actually. Okay, so all we need to do at the end is just to check if there are errors anywhere. So if I say if the count of these errors is equal to 0, like this, so meaning there are no errors whatsoever, we're going to return true, like that. Okay, great. Something like this. So all we need to do now is check for several things. So check for password there, and then we'll do all kinds of checks here as we go. So we've laid the foundation. Now I want us to do the checks in the next video. I'll see you then.